I want to read a quote from Elon. It says this: if we don't solve the deficit, there won't be any money for Medicare. If we don't solve the deficit, there will be no money for Social Security. It's got to be solved, or there will be no medical care, no pension plans, no food stamps, no government assistance. It's going to have to be solved. It's not optional. That's why I'm here. The reason I bring that up is because the most people that's pushing against Elon are, in fact, the rhinos and leftists who are making fraudulent money, basically, off the government. At the same time, because they believe in modern monetary theory, they believe we can just keep printing money. These are the same people who allow their constituents to believe that the government will always take care of them. I think of Democrats, I think of cities, I think of all these liberal areas where all their people they wanted reparations, they wanted handouts. And now that there's an option to where we can cut the government and verify and make sure that the funds that they're getting will stay the funds that they're getting, they're complaining about it. And the leadership in Washington is complaining about it. Well, today we're going to discuss that. And also the fact that we just paid terrorists billions of dollars. It will blow your mind at some of the things that come out. The reason everybody wants to shut Elon and Doge up is because they are opening the doors to corruption. Also today we're going to talk about what Anna Paulina Luna said, a Republican representative from Florida, where literally she says this is what Congress and Senate should be doing. I'm going to take it a step further. And if we did this, I bet you would see 60 to 70% of the Congress fall out and not be part of the new Congress, and they would resign. Why are we not actually making this take place? We're going to discuss that. Also, we're going to talk about what Douglas McGregor said about a breaking story that there could be listening devices in the White House. Now, there's not a lot of people that's allowed to be in the Oval Office. How in the world did it get there? Along with now a report of a cyber attack hitting a Maryland county where our NSA is located, our Naval Academy is located, and several military bases and also data centers. Tell me how these things keep happening with supposedly the strongest, best defense in the world, America. One last story. I'm going to talk about several signs that represent what typically happens right before a crash, right before a stock market falls out. You know, I mentioned a few months ago, even when Trump was elected in November, I made a comment, and I did a whole video on it, that I don't know if Trump can actually stop what's coming. I think Doge is doing a great thing. But of course, he's got the Senate working against him and bureaucrats working against him. But listen, we're going to talk about telltale signs, what we see in the past, and what we're representing to the fact that we could see a market crash very soon. We'll talk about the signs. Let's dive into the stories and so much more. Hey guys, welcome to The Max. Thank you so very much for being here today. If you are new to our channel, please, we humbly ask that you go down here, press subscribe, ring the bell, give us a thumbs up. It means the world to us, and it tells this platform that what we're sharing is beneficial to you and to others that listen. Also remember, we have one other channel, The Life at Colby Mac, that deals with kind of the behind the scenes. We released a video yesterday. You get to see how we live sustainable. And it's just a vlog form showing the ins and outs of our farm and our life. Go check that out. Also, my wife has a channel, The Max Life. Now, the reason we want to bring these three channels to your attention is because just like my wife's sharing, just like I'm sharing, we do a giveaway each and every month on each of those channels. It costs you nothing to be in them. All it takes is you subscribing to those channels, and we give you something you can't. I can't wait to tell you exactly what you're actually winning this time. So make sure you are in the drawing by being subscribed and commenting below. Now let's jump into these stories because they are the utmost importance. Let's go back to what Elon said because I want to make sure that we get this. The people that's trying to make money off its citizens is the Congress and bureaucrats, of course, and of course the Senate. Now the reason I say that is this. Most of these people do not get wealthy and then go into office. Most of these people go into office and get extremely wealthy. I believe through fraud and kickbacks and lobbyists, but I digress. The same people that's pushing against Doge and against Elon are the same people who want to keep lining their pockets full of money, that wants to make millions off you. Bernie Sanders is one of those. He tries to come across as some guy who's for the people, who wants to see socialism move and wants to see the lower people make it in the world. He's lying to you because he's a multimillionaire with 4 homes, and he's still begging you for money and telling you that the waste, fraud, and abuse is not there. Have you not seen it? We're fixing to talk about a story that's going to blow your mind. Now, the reason I want to bring this up is this. What Elon said, if we don't change course, not only will we be bankrupt, what does that mean when we become bankrupt? 2 things. One, either we don't have the option to pay the pensions, to pay the Social Security, to pay the Medicaid, pay the Medicare, pay the disability payments, to pay for food stamps and EBT, to pay for SNAP, to help all these people coming here legally. What that means is the people that live off the government will not have any money. And then people say, oh, that would never happen. Okay, so let's talk about what will happen. Look at Sri Lanka and Argentina. Then we overinflate because we believe that we can keep printing money for some reason, along with taxing the population, but printing money. To then, therefore, we print so much money that a loaf of bread that you get is going to cost you a wheelbarrow full of money. Why? Because we keep thinking that we can print ourselves out of this problem and quit not looking at fraud and just turn our blind eye to it. That's exactly what these Congress and Senate believe in. Not just Democrats, rhinos alike. Murkowski, Collins, Graham, Cornyn, McConnell. All these have come out against Doge too. But what you're seeing is when they start hearing the fraud, it actually started exposing what they're doing. This is something Anna Paulina Luna said, and I'm going to add to it. She said, I believe that every congressman and Senate should have to have a drug test. Now I'm going to add something to that. Not only do we need a drug test, we need to see if they're inebriated and they have an alcohol problem. Not only that, we need to have open audits. And you know what's so crazy is every year you get a W-2, you get a 1099, you get all that loaded on you to say this is exactly what you've made. I mean, you get the surveilled value of that. And the government knows exactly what you made. You can't hide any of it. And every year we have to do an annual report for our LLCs and S-Corps and all this stuff. Why is it fair for the congressmen that so-called make $100 to $150 to $200,000 to now be worth $30 million, $40 million, $100 million? Because there's people in Congress that are worth that now. Why is it fair that we don't get to audit every bill that they do? I don't care if you put it on the blockchain. I don't care if you do it line by line. But if we honestly want a government to thrive and we really want transparency and you want these elected officials to keep truthfully trying to work for the people, don't you think we should know where they're spending their money and how much money they get coming back to their pockets? Let's go back to Haiti yesterday. $4.4 billion was sent for Haiti relief. That was the name of the bill, Haiti relief. It was supposed to go to Haiti. Only 2%. And they said actually a little bit less than 2%. But say just 2% went to Haiti. So nothing got done. Red Cross got the bill like 6 places, they said. 2%. 56% went back to D.C., meaning lobbyists, kickbacks, bureaucrats, fraud. We don't even know where the other 40-something% went. So here's what I'm saying. You start auditing senators, Republicans, Democrats alike. You start auditing congressmen, Republicans, Democrats alike. You start making drug tests, random drug tests, just like you would have to do at your job. If you work at a big job, I promise you, you're getting random drug tests pretty regular, aren't you? If we allow for America to be led by geriatric patients who are 184, for people who's been in Congress for 50 years that's made millions off you, and somehow they're going to tell you they're going to do something different this time, then we are going to get exactly what we paid for, a broken economy. And we're going to talk about that in just a second. Prime example, let's just talk about why our leadership sucks so bad when it comes to this and why they're pushing against Doge, and what it's actually going to do is put us in a crippling economy. There's a new story that shows that we have been hacked in the county, in a Maryland county that's close to literally Washington, where our NSA is located, where our national security is. Data centers that run most of the information that we're needing, the backups, and then the Naval Academy along with Air Force bases. They said that actually there's a local county official that says we don't even know how big the operation is so far. We don't know exactly how deep it goes, but we're going to try to get to the bottom of it. Now we're hearing this from elected officials of what's supposedly America, the place where safety is foremost and that we're the biggest player in the game when it comes to the world. But no, we got hacked. Now, this is not talking about the Treasury hack from a few weeks ago. This is not the Bitcoin hack from a few days ago. This is a different hack. And then on top of that, there's a new report that shows that there could have been some listening devices in the Oval Office. Well, that means someone close to the administration or someone who worked for the last administration that's still held over may be compromised. Now, let's go back to the first thing Elon said. The reason that Doge is important is because we get rid of waste, fraud, and abuse. So far, we've been able to fire a lot of people in government that shouldn't be there. So far, we've saved a ton of money. But is it too little too late? Especially when you have Congress and Senate pushing against what they're doing. You don't believe me? The Senate just passed a $340 billion spending bill on top of what they already spend. We're in a $2 trillion deficit. So are they actually looking out for their constituents who are robbing Peter to pay Paul, who are living paycheck to paycheck, who is barely able to pay for their eggs? No, they're not looking out for them. They're fattening their pockets with modern monetary theory. And that is scary. Now let's go back to what Anna Paulina Luna says. She wants mandatory drug tests for all members of the House and Senate. If you had to do random drug tests, along with cognitive tests, along with audits, along with alcohol checks, I believe you would see most of the Congress not able to serve because most of them would be part of the fraud, waste, and abuse. If you hear Elon talking more and more about audits, you hear Elon talking more and more about the Congress, you see he's bringing up more and more thought patterns. And you're hearing a few of the 3 or 4 honest, Rand Paul, Mike Lee, Thomas Massey, some of them talk about how this might be a good thing. You start auditing the Congress, I promise you, you're going to heal America because you're going to get rid of some of these people that's been literally taking our money and stealing from us. You talk about Ponzi schemes, you talk about crypto, you talk about the dangers of casinos. We have one literally sitting in DC swamp. And this is where I hope that Trump and Elon can do good things. But the more we go in this video, I'm going to show you that it may be too little too late because our leadership has failed us for so long. Another great story, this is one that is positive. FBI is freaking out along with Congress about the appointment of Dan Bongino as Deputy Director of FBI. Now, one thing I love about this is because he's been such a proponent and such a juggernaut when it comes to the Trump administration. Again, here I want to talk about what he's given up to do this role. Like many people, like the Scott Bessents, who I don't personally like, but he's given up a $1 billion job to work for the American people. Trump, same way. Elon, same way. All these people are working for free or for literally pennies compared to what they usually make. I mean, RFK, JD Vance, Vivek, all of you could name them. Every one of them made their money and became very wealthy in the private sector, building their businesses and working for the consumers. Now, let's compare that to the Congress and the bureaucrats. Did you hear there was a news story that came out that says there's more millionaires that work for the federal government than ever before? Now, this is different than what I just said. There's billionaires and millionaires in Trump cabinet that made their money not in government, meaning they became billionaire in the private sector. There's this new report that shows that there has been more millionaires made with government money than any time in history, meaning they have made more money off the government and the public sector. Now, they're not even equating the Senate and Congress. But this is what I'm saying. You hear the Senate and Congress and these bureaucrats that's making money off you and me, they are dogging out Doge. They're dogging out this administration. And they're the ones becoming literally filthy rich off the American people. So I think it's very oxymoronic that we're even having this conversation about this. But that is the time that we're in. But let's go back to Dan Bongino. Dan Bongino came up as a policeman, then became a special agent, got a master's degree, and then served at the behest of the presidents, both Democrats and Republican. Here's the thing, though. When he left that office, he probably had a pension. He probably did okay. But what happened? He wrote books. He started a podcast. He is literally number 1, 2, or 3, the biggest podcaster each and every day, the biggest streamer each and every day on Rumble and world and America-wide. He is giving up millions of dollars of advertising, of revenue, of partnership with Rumble, of his platform each and every day that he could just literally wash his hands with this government and keep making millions. He is giving that up to serve American people. That is true leadership. That is what we need more of. People that are willing to sacrifice more to give to America. Because to be honest with you, just like these stories we're supposed to talk about with our money, without us having that, we won't make it. I think of George Washington, Ben Franklin. I think of all the leaders that we had, our forefathers. Most of them did not have to serve, and they were very filthy rich for their time. They didn't need the government, but the government needed them. They served. We don't need these Congress and Senate. They're making millions off of us and billions off of us, stealing our money, blind. All the while we have another administration who, they're not perfect. By no means are they perfect. I'm against their crypto push. I'm against AI. However, they're literally serving us because not a one of them needed our money, unlike the bureaucrats and the government officials who are pushing against Doge. Now that leads me to the last thing that we're going to talk about. And this is where I want you to prepare. There's signs that we should always see before crashes, before stock market problems, before collapses, and before governments fall. Listen to this. Warren Buffett amasses more cash and sells more stock than ever before. What, as one of the biggest and most successful billionaires ever to be part of the markets, why is he selling so much and not giving his train of thought at it? Why is he not doing that? He has more than $300 billion sitting literally in cash and pulling out of the market. That's usually a telltale sign. Let's go back to the gold. They're talking about the auditing gold and all that, but gold is now shining. It is going up. The speculation of less gold, the speculation of hedging with gold usually means a market fallout. That's what it means. When people are worried about the gold, the fact that London's transferring tons of gold to America, the fact that we're trying to audit gold and see what kind of gold we have, usually means a market crash is coming. Just another telltale sign. Does that mean that's going to happen? No. But the more you hear rare earth minerals, the more you hear assets, not just market assets, but true assets, tangible assets. The more you hear gold, what is gold doing? It's skyrocketing. They're saying that it will keep on climbing up even in 2025. There's a new article showing that it is not going to stop moving up. Again, good for people who buy gold, but usually signs of a failing economy. What about cryptos? What about those things? Like I said, everybody's looking for different ways to put money because they're scared of the markets. Usually when people are looking for different avenues to put their wealth in, kind of like what Warren Buffett was doing, that usually means that they're scared of the market. Goldman came out and said, because of this 5-week slide, we're actually seeing panic just from Friday and the dangers of what the market's going to do. Now it's the speculations of tariff, it's the speculations of conflict still across the world. But what we're seeing is a deficit spending government. Even with Trump trying to cut the deficit, Senate's working against him. Even him trying to cut the deficit, remember, we have to cut $2 trillion a year. That means there's got to be a lot more cut than just a few hundred billion. We're talking trillions, people. Trillions. So I think Trump and Elon are doing great things. And I really hope that I'm wrong. I'm hoping that most economists are wrong. But even Ray Dalio, again, another billionaire investor, said, if we do not cut 3 to 5% as quick as flipping possible, he says, look, I've been doing this game for a long time. We will not make it. We will go bankrupt. He said, actually, Elon has a point. And again, this is coming from someone who is not the biggest Trump supporter. He said, if they do not cut very quick, very fast, cut the jobs, cut the spending, at least 2 to 3%, like they're talking trillions, but he said 2 to 3% at least every year. He said, America cannot thrive and make it. I think that's why you're hearing the thoughts of gold. If the gold is there, if it's there, there may be a chance that we could go back to gold-backed standard and really change the whole thing about our economy, reset it in the right way. But if it's not there, if there's doubts there, if the fact that people are speculating it's not there, if the fact that our dollar is still struggling because our Congress keeps trying to spend tons of money, that's a telltale sign of a failing economy. Now, one more thing. Think of the dividend checks that Elon and Trump are talking about. I think there's a bigger play there. I mean, I think they want to help Americans for sure. But the reason they might not be using that to, plug the hole, as we say, fix the dam so the water won't burst out, I think they realize that that little bit of money compared to a $2 trillion deficit may not can stop what's fixing to come. So they may be sending these dividend checks out to help try to build the economy back up to where people will start spending money and saving money for rainy days. Think of it. Think if you got $5,000. It's not about stimulating the economy falsely. It's about giving your money back. Again, not that I'm for it. I told you before, I think that it would be good and wise to use this money for debt. But it could be the fact that Elon and Trump says they're for this because they realize the dam is fisting to bust. And if it busts, at least each American has a chunk of money. May it be worth not a lot or may it be worth a lot. I don't know, depending on what the inflation does during that time. But it may be a chance where people say, this may be their one last shot to say, okay, if we can get, of the 350 million Americans, if we can get 150 million spending that $5,000 and putting it back into the economy, it may stimulate it. Not with false money, but with money that was fraudulently taken. That might be what their play is. And if that's true, if that's their play, that's even scarier than we thought, because they see the writing on the wall. Elon Musk said in the interview the other day, and again, I don't want to just quote him all the time. What I'm trying to say, though, because there's things about him I don't trust, but he's a brilliant man. He's the richest man in the world, so he's done something right. But I want you to listen to what he said. He said, there is no joke anymore. If we don't cut $1 trillion within a short amount of time, and even said, if Doge doesn't cut $2 trillion by the first year and a half, 2 years, America won't make it. Now, it may make it, but it may be the fact that it's inflated so much. The Fed can't, they tried to lower rates and it didn't help. Listen to this. People are upside down more than they've ever been. People have more debts, such as credit cards and delinquencies, than they've ever had. We're in debt up to our eyeballs. I want you to listen to this last statement, and we'll end it with this. It says, even more frightening, if we go through this, even more frightening is that the fact that the Americans and the market participants are more coddled than they've ever been and least equipped to handle bad news. Because they live on the government dole, they tend to be whiny and not able to take care of themselves. They live on the conveniences that they've been given. He says if we see the damage that we're talking about, Americans will freak out because they're so used to everyone helping them get through the problem and them not taking responsibility for their own self. That's dangerous. Think about the Congress. Are they really taking responsibility for themselves when they're spending all your money and then telling you they're going to help you, telling you they're going to make for regulations better for you? All we see is people not taking responsibility for the actions. And Doge, this administration, is going to do all they can. But is it too little, too late? That's why we prepare. That's why we buy tangible assets. That's why we buy gold. That's why we buy seed vaults. That's why we try to do things like, raise hundreds of chickens each and every year, incubating. That's why we do these things. Because I want to take responsibility, because there's no one that's going to love and take care of my family like I will. And that goes for you and your family as well. Guys, pay attention to these stories. Very, very important. Great things when it comes to Cash Patel and Dan Bongino. Great things, the fact that Elon's cutting a lot with Doge. But I think the more that comes out, for instance, $164 million was spent on terror. We gave to terrorist organizations, known terrorist organizations. That is the USAID spreadsheet right there. And that's going to Islamic Relief funds all over the world that are known terror groups. You don't believe that we're wasting a lot, and the more that we expose it, the more pressure that Doge will feel and the Trump administration will feel. Guys, pay attention to these stories. Thank you so much for watching. Pray for this nation. We need it. And prepare. Thank you for watching. God bless.
Be free.